Hello, my name is Browne, and I'm going to be playing through my first person level. Its first iteration, just as I've just submitted it for user testing with some of my classmates and friends, and I'm going to get some. I've gotten some of their feedback already, but I'm going to get some of the more of their feedback and get an idea of what I want to do going forward. It's quite a large level, so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to go over some things that I think are important to address, and then sort of go through the sort of gameplay loop that I've established. So yeah, obviously, if you've looked over the design documentation or any of the documentation, research, pre-production, that sort of stuff, you'll have an idea of what the sort of design of this project is already. But basically, just one thing I want to get off my chest really quickly is obviously I think it's definitely I understand it's a bad level design practice to have these sort of like perimeters around the map, but I think in the context of the type of level and type of point of interest I'm creating, I've done this because um, normally this area on the map would be like placed on a much larger map. Like that would take players maybe like the players would spend maybe 30, 40, 50 minutes in this sort of level, this map traversing, and this would be a section of that map. And so I didn't want to design too far away from the complex or the point of interest too badly. That's why I've added these perimeters, because I wanted to focus on designing the point of interest and the sort of close surrounding areas, but not have to worry too much about what you'd expect from the rest of the map, because I never really went into the design process for that. So I'm only really looking at this point of interest. So the reason why the sort of bad practice of using the perimeters is there is because of that. It's because I wanted to focus on this specific area, and obviously, I think having the blocking there is better than having the player be possibly able to fall off the map. So yeah, it's there for a reason. It's not there because I was lazy. It's there because it makes sense for what's going on. So yeah, initially we're thrown into this sort of woodsy area. This sort of like general perimeter around the prison is just sort of like this sort of like low ground, trees and bushes zone. It's a bit foggy. It's hard to see too far in front of you. Obviously, Tarkov has dynamic weather, so it gives room for engagements. It gives room for creating like for players who want to maybe like camp inside the complex. There's lots of ways for players to engage in this sort of perimeter area from the outside and from the inside of the main building. So yeah, just giving it a bit of that Tarkov feel. Like Tarkov is not an easy game. It's very hardcore. It's very hard to sort of um I guess do the right thing, because someone could be literally doing anything. Like someone could just be sitting in this bush for 40 minutes waiting for you to walk by, and you would never know, and it's hard to account for. So Tarkov is quite open to interpretation of how you want to play, and so I wanted to sort of capture that if I could. So the outside perimeter, for example, I'll just try and run around it real quick. It has these sort of cover, trees, the foggy elements, the sort of like hilly areas that sort of block it off into certain sections. So like, this is like literally one section. This is another one. This one has more long range lines of sights. As you can see, as the fog comes in, you see more stuff. You see some of the variations of the entrances to the building, which obviously is amongst our task objective, which I'll go over now as I'm walking around, just to showcase this sort of stuff. So basically, obviously Tarkov is the actual gameplay loop is to go in and extract. It's very simple. You can do what you want. There's obviously quests in the game, but really you just go in, you loot, you fight your way to survival, and then you extract. But obviously, because this is a simple student project, I felt like obviously I can't capture that loop as an individual, especially with this module having to develop other levels as well. So I obviously just set these sort of like main objectives as if I've been given a quest by one of the quest givers in Tarkov, which is to I guess I can give a better description as to what you're seeing in the top right, but the idea is that find the tree like alternate entrances to the prison, like non-main entrances, like makeshift entrances. Find the tunnel entrance and get to the tunnel office. So there's the tunnel entrance within the prison, not the actual tunnel. There's like a tunnel entrance that connects it to the prison, which I'll show you in a second, and then obviously find the extraction point that's beside the prison too. So the player's been given these objectives, and it's up to them to explore the level and find it. And now, obviously, I could have labeled the task objectives a little bit clearer, but I didn't want to take up too much space on the screen. But yeah, that's sort of the idea of what I'm trying to get across. Tarkov is very hardcore in the sense where you wouldn't even get this information. You would read the task and it would tell you what to do, but you would have to figure it out yourself or look it up online or figure it out. So it's a very like non-hold handsy kind of vibe. So I guess I mean it's interesting like way of putting it. I didn't want players to just know what to do. I wanted them to explore and figure it out themselves, and it might not be easy. It might be easy depending on the player. but Tarkov does not hold your hand. So although this information could be clearer, I feel like it kind of throws players in the deep end a little bit, which is something that that works in the scope of the actual initial game. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the objectives and just kind of go through the level. So obviously here's the main entrance to the prison, like this sort of like a secluded area. So we're based on the magazine for secluded area, like outside like main courtyard that would be like roads that would have where the inmates would come in. We've got this sort of like processing building here. Then obviously we enter the main building. Um, we've got like the cells and the halls, and obviously here we have the first entrance, alternate entrance. So this would be like a blown up, and prisoners would have escaped. Sort of within the post-apocalyptic vibe of Escape from Tarkov. This would be the cafeteria area. Obviously, it's quite barren at the moment, but it's quite a large project. So fleshing out areas, I'm gonna have to pick and choose what zones I want to flesh out. So I'm gonna base that off of the specific feedback I get from the user testing. I know a lot of people have thought about some cool stuff already, but I'll go over that in the final version. So here's another entrance here. This is a little like makeshift one. This is based off the one in Shoreline, which I go over in my design document. So that's two of the three. I'll go to the last one here. The last one is down the hall here, just underneath the staircase. Um, so it's just here. It's under the staircase, and there's obviously this alternate entrance here. So we found all the different alternate entrances that I've designed in the project. So that's sort of that goal there. Now we're going to go to the sort of separate wing, the sort of secluded wing. We go through the courtyard. Obviously, actually, to be fair, people have said suggested like maybe adding a basketball court here or some gym equipment. You know, some sort of like the sort of quintessential things you'd expect to see in a courtyard in a prison, which I think is a good suggestion. So here's the thing, place based on Chameleon MJ. You can kind of see where I'm going with that as well. And here's the entrance to the tunnel. So we're going to go in here. It takes it off. And now obviously we've got these diverging paths that are like the two entrances from the outside, which you can see in my block out on Miro. I've obviously added a screenshot in my documentation as well. And then here's the office. So obviously we've got the office tagged off. So these are all like a sort of trigger box colliders that are based on these areas. That so once a player walks in, they get that task objective complete. And now we just need to find the extraction point. So the extraction point is out here, and it's just over here. And you can see it's highlighted by this sort of like lime green sort of neon disc. So we enter that, and that's all of our task objectives done. It obviously loads into this sort of raid ended sort of screen, which is from Tarkov, just to give the idea of what you'd expect after you extract. So yeah, that's the project. Obviously, there are lots of things that to improve on it in terms of adding assets and environmental like sort of uh, vibes and stuff like that to the game to make it look less like a block out. But obviously, with the brief is making a level block out, that sort of stuff. So here's the thing. Obviously, this is the project I'm going to further develop. So because it's a large scale point of interest on a Tarkov map, I'm going to choose certain areas and flesh them out and showcase that in the documentation to show how I would do those specific areas, and that sort of process would apply to all of the different zones if I had an unlimited time frame to sort of finish this project. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully I explained myself well. I really appreciate you listening to this video. Feel free to go through the documentation to get an idea of sort of why I made the decisions I did in terms of designing it the way it is. That because it goes over, especially in the research and pre-production, it goes over in quite some detail, or all the detail that exists in my mind anyway, as to why I developed it the way I did. And yeah, Tarkov is a really cool game. If you're unaware of it, it may be difficult to interpret the level design. So that's why I've made this video to sort of go through exactly what I was thinking when I made the level. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you. Bye bye.